Good morning, sixth graders. Today we're going to outline your plot, and the way to do that is with the plot roller coaster. You've heard a plot of a story described in many different ways. A plot diagram, a plot map, a plot structure, maybe a plot mountain, and here we have the plot roller coaster. As you can see, each element matches up. You have your setup on the roller coaster, which is the same thing as your exposition. You have your rising action, of course the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. One thing that's going to be new is this right here, the inciting incident. Previously, whenever you're talking about a plot diagram, you're looking at a story that's already been written and trying to decide the details of the plot. Now that you're writing the story, there's a little extra that you're going to be learning about. This inciting incident right here is what really gets the story going. And so, much like a roller coaster, we begin with the setup. We're getting ready to leave the station. This inciting incident right here is what really launches that action up. Right through the rising action, which is most of the story, straight to that climax. And then the falling action includes how things wrap up in the story. The final resolution then is what happens in the end. So to begin with the setup, we're going to take a look at what happens at this part in the story. This is where you, the writer, give your readers a little bit of information about the characters, setting, and conflict. This is the exposition on the plot map. Think of it as something like this, where you're just getting ready to start up that hill. You're excited, you're learning a little bit about this roller coaster, you're looking ahead to what comes next. So here we have the inciting incident. To incite something means to excite it, to get it started. This is the scene that launches your protagonist on that adventure. If you've ever been reading a book and the author just grabs your attention right away, it's usually because they have an exciting inciting incident. Sometimes books are a slow burn, but our goal is to try to go big and make sure you have something that really captures your reader's attention. So if you think back to some of the novels we read this year, the plane crash scene in Hatchet is a classic example of an inciting incident where the protagonist is launched onto an adventure. Stanley's arrest in Holes is what began his story there at Camp Green Lake. So those are two examples of inciting incidents. Which brings us to the rising action. This is the longest section of your novel. This is where you will spend the most time on your story, developing your characters fully. The characters then deepen their relationships with one another. Maybe they make friendships, they learn more about one another, they come to understand someone that maybe they didn't understand before. But this is also where you lay out everything that happens before the climax. Think of it as that suspenseful time when you're climbing up that big hill. The bigger the hill, the more the suspense. And now we have arrived at the climax. You may have heard me mention before, there are some authors that actually start writing their climax scene first, then they'll work their way back. Well, it's up to you, but that's just something to think about. What is your climax scene going to look like? What is that big scene? It's kind of like that gasp right before the high-speed drop. Something kind of like this. Don't look down. Okay, so your falling action is a lot like that high-speed drop. This is where your reader finds out, has the antagonist been defeated? Did the protagonist accomplish his or her goal? This is where the story starts, the wrap-up. But it is very much like that downhill fall. And finally, we arrive at that resolution. How did things work out in the end? Did the protagonist accomplish their goal? You'll show how the characters have changed, and that is a key part because you'll want to use those final scenes of the book to show these changes. It's kind of like pulling you to the station. You've arrived, everybody has a story to tell now. They've just been through something pretty exciting, some large experience, and so they want to share it. but it's that wrap up for you. Think of the swimming pool scene in Holes. At the end of the book, when all the guys from the camp are swimming over at Stanley's house, and then they go in to watch the commercial for Sploosh. The reader learns all the different things that have come about and how the initial conflict and all the other smaller conflicts with it have been resolved. And so part of your assignment today will be sketching out your own plot roller coaster. So you'll have your setup, okay, your inciting incident, you'll have your rising action, your climax, your falling action, and your resolution. You'll do two things. You'll create something like this, but then you'll also have a portion where you describe each of these portions of your plot. And so your assignment simply is this. Go ahead and complete your bell ringer in there for your daily language practice, and then you'll complete outlining your plot, the workbook pages 22 through 31. Read through it. It will give you some extra information about how to outline your plot. Be sure to put this in Notability first, and then you'll want to add an extra page to write your plot description. Submit your work to the assignment post in Google Classroom, and have a great day.